All right, first and foremost, give all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham. Giving sincere greeting to all the brothers and sisters scattered across the four corners, teaching this word with sincerity and charity. Salute to all the brothers and sisters also that's just, getting into this walk, trying to walk uprightly, trying to represent Yesharum, which is uprightness, and being rightly aligned with the word of the Most High. A salute to y'all also. We're gonna be looking into Genesis chapter 4. We're gonna read it verses 1 through 5. We're gonna look into why Cain's sacrifice was rejected by the Most High, wasn't respected by the Most High, and why Abel's was more suffice. Let's go ahead and just read that real quick. Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in a process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And so when I first started, digging into the scriptures and started trying to actually learn the scriptures, I heard a narrative. I always heard the narrative that Abel's sacrifice wasn't acceptable. Cain's sacrifice wasn't acceptable because it wasn't flesh. It wasn't actual meat. All right, now we have this thing in the Levitical priesthood called a meat offering, the Levitical law called a meat offering, and that consists of grains and corn and those things of the ground. So we know that Yahweh did take vegetables as an offering, or grains as an offering, so that can't be why he didn't accept Cain's offering. But it's a very key verse there in verse 3. It's a very key phrase there in verse 3, and that's in the process of time. Cain in the process of time. And that's Ketzion, which means like at the end of the year or at the end of the season. Right? In that process of time, pretty much at the end of the season, this is when Cain gives his sacrifice. Once he done seen all the fruits. And this is a good lesson for your first fruits. I know the first fruits is around Pentecost, is around the corner if you haven't already took part in it. But this is a good lesson for that also. Pretty much Cain didn't bring the first fruits. Cain brought the last fruits. Cain brought the in the process of time fruits, while Abel brought the firstlings of his flock. And that's why it's important that they put that there, that they give you that narrative to show you that Abel gave the firstlings, but Cain in the process of time, pretty much at the end of the year, at the end of the season, he gives his offering. And that what happens with that is that shows a lack of faith. That shows a lack of faith. It takes a great amount of faith, especially if you are a tiller of the ground, to give that first sheaf. And that's what the first fruits is. You give the first sheaf, and that sheaf is what you pretty much that first bundle of grain, or that first bundle of corn that of your harvest. You give that first harvest, that first sheaf of your harvest unto the Most High. And this is what Cain was supposed to do, but Cain actually waited to the end of the season, once everything's all fruitful, once he's straight, once he see his barnyard is full, then he gives an offering to the Most High and tells him thank you and give him praise. But really, you give that praise soon as that harvest, that first harvest start growing. You give that glory, you give that praise to the Most High. It's important for you to do that, and it's not like first fruits is not tithing. You know what I'm saying? It's not tithing. It's actually sowing a seed, right? It's sowing a seed of praise unto the Most High, being grateful for what He's done, and knowing and having the faith that He's going to make your harvest a bountiful abundance. You know what I'm saying? Your harvest is gonna be, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be greatly abundant. Abel, Abel gave the firstlings of his flock. He gave the firstlings of his flock. He gave his first fruits. He gave his first fruits. And I'm gonna give you an allegory to show you what that, you know what I'm saying, how that kind of breaks down. We're finna break this thing down in the allegory. Let me show you what and a lot of us do this to the Most High. A lot of us do this when we sacrifice ourselves. We know in the Romans 12:1 that you're supposed to sacrifice yourselves as a living sacrifice. But a lot of us want to live our lives. Like I done had sisters and brothers tell me, hey, you know what I'm saying, I'm still out here living my life. You know what I'm saying, I still gotta live my life and do what I got to do, you know what I'm saying, and kick the bobo, and then I'm gonna give my life to Christ. But I got to enjoy it a little bit first. And see, that's in that process of time, right? That's that cat's yom, right? In the process of time, and that sacrifice probably may not be acceptable to the Most High. It may not be respected unto the Most High. You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't put off from day to day. You'll go ahead, and once you hear that word, once you have that conviction within you to turn from your wickedness, you need to take that opportunity, man, while that spirit is still burning in you, because he will give you off to be a reprobate. You know what I'm saying? He'll give you off unto your lust. And so it's imperative, man, that you make sure that you're not being like Cain. You don't have that spirit of Cain on you. Again, let me give you the allegory. It's pretty much like you eating a plate of food, right? You got a brother standing right next to you, starving, right? Starving. And then you're eating this food, and you just scarfing down this food, man. You throwing it everywhere, man, and boom, 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 boom. So say it's some spaghetti, and you just whipping the noodles everywhere. There's spaghetti all over. You know what I'm saying? You even throwing sauce on the brother that's standing next to you, begging you for some of your spaghetti. And you tell that brother, you know what I'm saying, hold up, wait, let me get full first, and then once you done got your fill and you done with it, then you handing that plate to that brother. That's what we doing to God. That's what we doing to the Most High. We trying to hand him a plate in the process of time. Trying to hand him a plate that we done already smashed and threw all over the place, and then ate all the good meat out of it. You know what I'm saying? They ate all the meatballs out. Most of the sauce gone, but there was a couple noodles and some of that ragu sauce, watered down though, the bottom of it. You know what I'm saying? And we trying to hand that to the Most High. We trying to hand that to the Most High as a sacrifice, saying, "Look what I've done. Look, I'm giving this to you," and it may not be respected by the Most High, man. So make sure that you don't have that Cain spirit. Make sure you don't put these things off. Make sure that you know what I'm saying, you don't use no excuses. Don't make no excuses for yourself. You know what you're supposed to be doing. All right, you know that how obligated you need to be to the Most High, and that you were bought with a price, and that you owe everything, man. You owe everything. All right, and so with that, I'm gonna say shalom.